Hello and welcome to diverCity. My name is Felix Franz.
My name is Faye Rajpal. This week's top stories are the Million Mask March,
Ice Rink's opening in London,
the Gurkha hunger strike,
and the planning of a pool on the River Thames.
This year's Million Mask March brought hundreds to Trafalgar Square, where Anonymous and other activists marched onto the Houses of Parliament.
What began as a demonstration turned out to be a confrontation with the police. Catherine Iorio has this report.
I'm Catherine Iorio, standing at Trafalgar Square where the Million Mask March is taking place. They're gathering here at Trafalgar Square where they plan to march peacefully towards Parliament, where all hell will eventually break loose.
Activists and protesters wearing the white-faced Guy Fawkes masks took to the street on bonfire night to demand changes in the government.
We're sick of the corrupt government making the rich richer and the poor poorer.
There's too much of a divide between the rich and the poor.
Before making their way to Parliament, hundreds rallied at Trafalgar Square for a meet and greet with other hacktivist members of the group Anonymous. While some were protesting against corruption, austerity cuts, and state surveillances, others were opposing news corporations like BBC and Sky.
I'm here because I want to spread, the word and help to gain knowledge of how terrible this system is, how false it is, how much they lie to us. The majority of it is the media, the people that own the world, basically.
From the smell of cannabis to the sounds of reggae music, demonstrators used their time wisely before dispersing to Parliament around 6:30 in the evening. 15 people were arrested and numerous fights broke out throughout the night, according to the police reports.
Have you sworn an oath today, officer? Have you sworn an oath today, officer? Do you realise that you're disavowing your oath by not answering me?
The march was part of a global event which saw protesters congregating in 400 cities in countries around the world, including the US, Australia, and Indonesia.
The Gurkhas have fought for Britain for 200 years, yet they say they are still victim of discrimination from the British government in terms of pensions. Now they have begun a hunger strike.
Campaigners say they will strike unto death unless their demands are met. We sent Vincent Manacourt to find out more.
Today I'm in Whitehall, which for 800 years has been the seat of the British government. And for 200 of those years, the Gurkhas from Nepal and India have fought for the British government and the British people. But consistently they've been paid less, their pensions are less, their compensation is less. Now after 13 days of relay hunger strikes, the Ministry of Defence to my right and Downing Street to my left have refused to come forward to talk with the Gurkhas to come to some kind of compromise. Now they are vowing to hunger strike till death. Now let's see what the Gurkhas have to say about this.
And we were very hopeful that within that relay hunger strike, the British government, being very serious, would resolve our issues, or at least start a dialogue with the campaigners, or at least write a letter of guarantee for a dialogue. But it did nothing, even if the Prime Minister had assured us that his Defence Minister, Mark Francois, would soon write to us for a dialogue, but they didn't do. That is why the relay hunger strike ended today, and as declared before, we are compelled to start hunger strike unto death, and it will go on until our just and genuine demands are fulfilled.
You will stop your hunger strike until when?
It is, I don't know until when. It depends on the British government. As I said, if they save their very loyal, honest Gurkhas from poverty, from illness, if they are given equal rights, then I will stop. Otherwise, no.
So while the Ministry of Defence claims the Gurkhas' terms and conditions have always been fair and reasonable, the Gurkhas are now vowing a hunger strike till death until their demands are met. And with the motto that it is better to die than be a coward, it is not a threat the government should take lightly. Vincent Manacourt, diverCity, London.
Veterans have been raising funds at Liverpool Street Station to support the Royal British Legion.
Our reporter Catherine Yu has been learning more about this Poppy Day tradition.
The meaning of Poppy Day is actually for the Remembrance Sunday in the 11th month of the year, which is for the people of Britain really to give thanks and remember those of their colleagues and friends and others, and perhaps perfect strangers they've never met, who have actually fought and lost their lives in conflict around the world, which really started in the First World War in 1914, about 100 years ago. And it's something that we feel very strongly and very patriotically about. But it celebrates both English, Scots and Welsh people, as well as our comrades in other countries.
The meaning for the Poppy Appeal is to help ex-soldiers and their families. The Poppy Appeal started after the First World War, and it's to help soldiers who are suffering from post-traumatic disorders and different things like that. But it's to do with soldiers and things like that. Yeah.
The First World War and Second World War, the Falklands and Afghanistan, all the soldiers lost their legs and that. It all goes to them.
Over the course of the 11 days which we collect on the station, between us we collect something like £40,000.
Our target this year is just over £1 million. From £500 we have built it up gradually. We achieved £820,000 last year. Every single tube station was covered, underground station, every single railway station, plus many more activities. So 2,000 people involved. I feel very confident that we will actually achieve the target.
And now some news from the area.
But it's bad news for post office customers in North Islington. Highbury Corners branch is under the threat of closure, and the issue was serious enough to be discussed in the Houses of Parliament last week.
Liana Kasharova tells us more.
Today at 11 a.m. at Westminster Hall, the Member of Parliament for North Islington, Jeremy Coburn, held a debate on closure of 3 post offices in Islington: Holloway, Highbury and Upper Street. However, the debate didn't go as he expected.
The Minister couldn't give me the assurance I wanted on the replacement of the 2 post offices on Upper Street and Highbury with the equivalent number of counter positions and equivalent number of staff working there. She could not answer my point or the point raised by Emily Thornberry, the MP for Islington South. There are 2 MPs for our borough. And she could not give me a straight answer on the franchising of Holloway Road. The only concession I got from the debate was she said that if no franchisee appeared, the post office on Holloway would remain open. There would be no preemptive closure. That was as far as it got to a guarantee on that.
The debate was strongly supported by Islington Pensioners Forum. The officials of the forum pointed out that the closure of the post offices damages the access of elderly people to community service.
I know lots and lots about the service that we give, the post offices give. And in particular, I've reached the age of 89 and understand the problems that the older people have in Islington of even walking 100 yards. So therefore, the service is important to the older people in Islington.
For Highbury Corner branch, being under the threat of closing is a matter of serious concern for constant post office customers.
There's secured 20 people in there today, and it's usually like that at this post office. So, you know, if they close it down, where are these people going to go?
It's a shame because they're nearest in to us, and usually they're a very good service.
It will be not only inconvenient but worse. It will be an absolute catastrophic outcome. So what is proposed is the reduction of 19 counters as we have at the moment in 2 offices, down to just 7. Now that means very, very long queues for elderly people, people with disabilities who no doubt will have to freeze in the cold because it has happened many, many times. But of course this is democracy. Capital rules profits before people. What's new?
However, the decision seems to be final. The post offices are to be shut down very soon. The Upper Street post office is to be closed on March 14th. Liana Kasharova, diverCity.
Hundreds of cars, hundreds of people,
and one very cute dog
gathered at Regent Street this Saturday for the UK's largest free motor show.
Claudia Bosduaca went to take a look.
Citizens of London spent their Saturday walking along one of the most famous shopping streets to admire cars from the past and the future. We spoke with the media director of the Regent Street Motor Show, Jonathan Gill, who made the following comments.
Regent Street, the whole of Regent Street, as you know, is closed for cars today. So for once there's a traffic jam on Regent Street that everyone wants to look at and to see, as opposed to normal horns and beeping and frustration. So there are 300 cars there spanning about 125 years of motoring. So the whole history of motoring's there, right from the very beginning of motoring with steam cars and the early petrol cars, right up to some very modern and even futuristic electric cars. This year, the Aston Martin display this year is completely new because it's its 100th anniversary this year. So this is the first time we've had so many Aston Martins. And likewise with the Porsche, this is the 50th anniversary of the 911, so that is special this year. So every year there are special celebrations, special milestones in the history of companies, and they're celebrated on Regent Street.
The fourth edition of UK's largest motor show took place on Regent Street, one day before the London to Brighton Veteran Car Run. The vehicles on display attracted almost 250,000 visitors. Even for those who did not have a specific interest in automobiles, there were still many things worth seeing, including colorful Victorian age costumes, unusual car owners, and musical performances by West End kids. We asked one person who was attending the event what their favorite car was.
I like the old Bentleys and Aston Martins, yeah.
Mrs. Barbara Deadman, owner of a 1902 Deckard, told us.
It's the only surviving Deckard in the world, this one. It really is the only one. My outfit is exactly the same age as the car. 1902, 1902. So my husband doesn't buy me many clothes.
Do you know how much it cost, this car?
Yes, but I'm not going to tell you. We saved up lots and lots of pennies and eventually we had enough.
Penny by penny, yeah.
Yes.
I'm Claudia Bosduaca, diverCity.
If you want to take a dip somewhere in London, the River Thames wouldn't necessarily be the first location to spring to mind.
But the London as it could be project is trying to change that. Stefano Pozzebon dived into the story.
Have you ever thought of a swim in the Thames? Disgusting? For many, but not for all.
A London architect studio has just released its project for an open water swimming pool right on the river, in one of London's most iconic locations, Blackfriars Bridge. The idea is to restore the role of the Thames as a truly open space in the heart of a city, and following previous projects in New York and in Zurich, to let people rediscover the water in its most natural way, by swimming in it.
In 2023, the super sewer, if it gets planning permission, will be completed, and then the water will be clean enough to swim in.
The project will be possible by the opening of the Thames Tideway Tunnel in 2023.
I think actually, yeah, I think they will. I think it'll surprise people. Londoners have this attitude that the Thames is an open sewer and therefore dangerous, and anyone who gets in it will die. Whereas in reality, it's actually a lot cleaner than it ever has been. In fact, it's probably at its cleanest it's ever been. Yes, there is still a problem with the sewage overflowing into it, but if that situation is overcome, which frankly it has got to be overcome because it's unacceptable in the modern day to have the quantities of sewage being tipped into the Thames, if that is overcome, then that river has the potential to be considerably cleaner.
The new giant sewer should remove up to 96% of the sewage currently entering the river, making it safe for people to bath in.
As long as they like it. Stefano Pozzebon, reporting from London.
Winter is coming.
But that doesn't mean darkness, gloom and depression. We're not in Westeros.
Our reporter Ida Axling bundled up warm and hit the ice to bring you this report.
Hi, I'm Ida. I'm standing here in front of the Natural History Museum with some good news for all you ice skating lovers. The outdoor ice rink is officially open for the season. But as you all know, ice skating can be both dangerous and slippery, which is why we took the liberty of testing the ice for you. On the opening day, lots of people took 50 minutes out of their busy lives to try some fun tricks on ice. We asked a few of them what they thought of the experience.
It's great.
It's fun, but terrifying.
Yeah,
quite honestly.
We're kind of terrible at it right now.
It's not something you get to do every day. That's why I like it. But this is my first time. My daughter has been ice skating, and I think she's finding it pretty difficult. She can't really stand up very well.
Then we met Cam, who has been working at the rink for 3 years. We asked him to tell us about a few of the funniest things he has experienced while working.
Personally, I'm a freestyle ice skater, so I do a lot of dancing on ice and tricks and stuff like that. And there's loads of times when I've fallen over and gone like sliding across the ice and banged into the machine. And I find it quite funny. They don't like it. We've also, with the penguins, we like set them up into like a bowling ball style, and we do a human bowling. So like we go sliding across the floor to see how much penguin we can take out.
We also asked him about the most common injuries that he has encountered during his time working there.
We've had broken arms and broken legs before, quite head injuries, been quite bad as well. The thing is, on the ice it always looks worse than it actually is, so you will see a lot of blood from a little cut, and everyone will think it's really bad, but it's only a little cut because there's ice, it's water, it washes it around and it makes it look like a lot more. I think the worst one we've had though was probably a broken leg. We had to have the ambulance come and pull him off the stretcher. And
that's all from here. Have fun skating and stay safe. This was Ida Axling for diverCity.
Our reporter Sarakshi Rai got caught up in a flash mob in Covent Garden yesterday.
Let's take a look at some of their moves.
This week, Time Out London staged a Covent Garden takeover. They've had comedy gigs, pop-up restaurants, and they're ending the week strong with a flash mob yesterday and a silent disco today. We caught up with the dancers at the Pineapple Dance Studios at their last practice.
And here we are in central London, and it's the moment of truth. Flash mob! We're here with the editor of Time Out London, Alexi Duggins. So Alexi, tell me, how was it? Did you enjoy it?
Yeah, it was brilliant. It was great. I mean, I didn't really know what to expect because when you organise a flash mob, you never know quite how many people are going to turn up.
Organising a flash mob, however, is easier said than done.
So Kira, what were the preparations like?
A little bit stressful, but we got there in the end. We basically did 3 rehearsals. The first rehearsal was just with the starters, so with like professional dancers, and then we had 2 rehearsals for the time out. So not much preparation at all for what has just been achieved.
And would you call it a success?
100%, 100%.
Yeah, but it was all over social media, so it wasn't really a surprise as such, right?
No, it wasn't. But I think to some of the tourists, like sitting having their like dinner, I think it was definitely a surprise for them. Suddenly, like a group of dancers just rocking up and just performing a David Bowie track.
Keep dancing, city. That's all from me, Sarakshi Rai, diverCity, London.
That's all for this week's diverCity. Thank you for watching.
Don't forget to follow us on Facebook and Twitter. My name is Felix Franz.
My name is Faye Rajpal.
See you next week.